Hey y'all, it's your girl Toyia T, and do we have a show for you today? We are so excited to be here at Ohio University, my old stomping grounds. I came through here in the years of 1999 and 2002. Oh my goodness, it feels like eternity ago. But we have some great guests here today, and we want to make sure we're not remiss in thanking our sponsors. Ohio University is our show sponsor, as well as the event sponsor for this evening's show. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and welcome in our guests. I'll have them do a quick introduction so that you know who they are and where they've gone. We'll go ahead and start with you, Ty. Tell us a little bit about you, just a quick intro, and then we'll go into the show.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ty Carr. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Student Affairs at Duquesne University College of Medicine in Pittsburgh, PA.
All right, well, we're excited to have you tonight, Ty, and we're looking forward to hearing a little bit more about your journey.
Thank you.
And next, we have Erica. Go ahead and do a quick intro.
So I'm Erica Revish. I am a communications manager at JP Morgan Chase for our consumer banking organization in Columbus, Ohio.
Absolutely, and we're glad to have you as well this evening. And last but certainly not least.
My name is Mike Carson. I own and operate Mike's Dog Shack, currently named The Shack. We just sell beer, wine, you name it for the party supplies here at Ohio University. I was an econ major when I attended here, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate all of you guys being here, and we're looking forward to a very colored conversation. So tonight, we're talking a little bit about the alumni that have come through Ohio University, and not just any alumni, but our Black alumni. When I came through Ohio University, there was only a few of us, but we made sure that we stuck together. So the first question that I'm curious to learn about you guys is what your most memorable experience was here at Ohio University, or your most memorable faculty member. And for me, it was Ty Carr. When I got to OU, I literally leaned on this man. He helped me through so many different spaces within the university. And anybody that's gone to a primarily white institution, you have to have someone that helps pull you through and make sure you stick it out.
Yeah.
So has anybody else had a Ty Carr in their experience at OU?
I think all of us have had a Ty Carr in our experience. I'll start it off. One of my most memorable moments or just experiences here is Black Alumni Weekend. It actually happened my freshman year. First get on campus, not too many Black people around, usually the only Black person in class, and then it was like, boom, all of a sudden, it's like, what's going on? And everybody's like, oh, it's Black Alumni Weekend. Like, oh, okay. So it kind of inspired me a little bit to stick around. As far as faculty, I would say the great late Dr. Childs. One of my fondest memories of her is just, I'm in her class, she come in like half an hour late, and she comes in and just say, boy, go move my car. And I'm like, she gave me the keys, I go outside, she parked right there in front of Lindley, right there in the middle of the street, just like Dr. Childs would or whatever. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people have that memory of her just, telling you what to do, and you, yes, ma'am, and you do it. So that's probably one of my fondest memories of the faculty.
Okay.
And I would piggyback off of that. Definitely Dr. Childs, may she rest in peace. She felt like home, and a meal, a few dollars for lunch, the use of her car. She was always available to us. So that definitely made an impact on my time at Ohio University. I would say, you talking about this a little before the show started, coming onto Ohio University's campus. And it's almost culture shock. It's a PWI, right? I'm Black, and I grew up in a Black home, and I have Black friends, and I went to a Black church, and there was culture and there was community, and I come on campus and it wasn't there. And I remember a mutual friend of mine, of ours rather, like, hey, Erica, come to Lindley. So I went into Lindley Hall, and I remember the first time I walked in there and everybody looked like me, right? And that made
That's a shock too.
Yeah, that was a shock. Like, where do all these people come from? And why do they look like me? Like, where were you at in the campus? But that was definitely impacting a university that didn't look like me being able to come into a space where we had a shared experience and we didn't know each other.
Absolutely. I think that makes the difference, right? To
Yeah.
be able to bring it in and make it smaller so that you can relate, but then still relate to our white counterparts in the
Yeah.
same thing. What about you, Ty?
Well, for me, I'm the senior member of the group, of course. So I came here for my master's degree. But it's interesting that some of those same people you talk about, Dr. Francine Childs, may she rest in peace. I call her Mama Doc, or I just call her Mom sometimes, my other mother. And Bill Allen was another individual. He was the Associate Dean of the University College. He also has passed on. And Bill Smith, he was at then it was called Affirmative Action. But those were the people who drew me in when I came to Ohio University as a young'un and really just embraced me and helped me navigate the spaces. And so I started paying it forward when I started to advance at Ohio University and had opportunity to influence you all. But Dr. Childs, Bill Allen, Bill Smith, and there are a few other folks here because I've been here longer, so
Right.
I know a lot more of the people, but they just set the tone. And I already knew I was going to be that person because I looked for that when I went to a PWI for undergrad. I was always looking for mentors and role models who look like me. Not that they had to look like me.
Right.
But those are the people that I gravitated to and then figured I'd come and make a difference.
Absolutely. And I think we have a responsibility to continue to do that, right? So as you passed it down from somebody else passing it to you, now it's our generation that has to now bring it back around. I know I'm a huge advocate of anybody that says that they're willing to even come and visit. I'm like, you have to come and see if you like Ohio University. So I actually have a little cousin that now has followed me, and she's like a fashion design major or something. I don't care what you major in, just go to Ohio University so that you can be my namesake, because I followed my uncle here.
Yeah.
So he graduated from Ohio University. So there's definitely an impact that is made. How do you feel that your educational experience was impacted by Ohio University? If you think about, the things that you learned here or the experiences from an educational standpoint really impacted who you became as an individual.
I'll jump in. I think it impacted me mainly just making me grow up. In high school, it was kind of, 9 classes, get there at a certain time. When you came here to Ohio University, you were forced to actually, be more independent. You don't have 7 a.m. classes sometimes. Sometimes, it's middle of the day and you still have to be focused and responsible and go to them and attend them. I took advantage of a lot of the SI sessions here, as well as the it was a study sessions basically. So they would, if you had like a hard class like econ or different other math classes, they would pull you in. You would have like a TA or somebody who was real versed in the subject, and they would go back over class notes. They would go back over any equations or stuff that you had to come up with.
I needed that.
And it definitely kind of doubles down on your intake of the knowledge. So links actually helped me a lot because I was able to come down a little earlier. I got to get acclimated with campus a little bit before like the main student body came down. So it allowed me to get a advisor early. It allowed me to pick my classes early. So I think all of that kind of helped me transition and stick around, because I know a lot of people, when they first come down, they get shocked. They're the only Black person in class, and we all been hit with that, hey, Mike, you're a Black person, like, answer me this question. And I think that kind of like shielded me a little bit from the shock of that. So overall, I enjoyed my education down here, enough so that, I stuck around. And like you said, anytime I get a chance to say, hey, your kid gonna know you, hey,
Go Bobcats.
anytime they want to come down, I give them the unofficial tour. So,
Yeah.
I respect it.
Absolutely. What about you, Erica?
I came, out of Scripps. And, Scripps it's one of the best journalism schools in the country. So there was a lot of expectation coming out of Scripps. And, I remember precision language with Drew Everts. And I would pray on that class because as good of a writer as I thought I was, I could not get through that class. I had to take it in the summer so I could get through it. But it taught me how to be intentional with my words. It taught me how to be intentional with what comes out of my mouth. And the other thing that just my experience at Ohio University taught me was to be comfortable in uncomfortable spaces. Like I said, this is a PWI, right? And I had to learn how to navigate spaces where I was the only one that looked like me the majority of the time. And that has served me well in corporate America because I'm still generally the only one that looks like me in those spaces. And my experience here taught me how to take up space and to be comfortable taking up space when I'm the only one that looks like me in the room.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was actually a journalism undergrad too.
Okay.
And I make jokes that I kind of just happened upon being a journalism degree.
Yeah.
Because at every other program, journalism was under business.
Yeah.
And at Ohio University, journalism was not under the business school. And so that's how I ended up as a journalism. I was a journalism ad major because I really wanted to be in advertising.
Okay.
And so it just kind of happened to
Yeah.
it. And then here I was
Those
at one of the best journalism schools in the country.
Happenstance.
Right. So what about you, Ty?
Well, I want to piggyback on what Mike said. SI was supplemental instruction.
Okay.
That's what the acronym was for. In higher ed, we use, and at Ohio University, we use a lot of acronyms, as you probably will get to know, when you come in here as a student. But the supplemental instruction was there for the students. And one of the things that I did was to make sure that the students were aware of the resources. Yes, there's links, but not all students were participating in links.
Right.
So, when they came in to see me during the years that I was in financial aid, which is when I influenced or touched you all in some way, shape, or form, those were the years when I would tell students, you need, I can see your grades. I have some heart to heart. And, I could give you more financial aid, but I'm looking at your GPA. And people are saying, we're going to throw bad money or good money after a bad situation. And so when I had a chance one-on-one to sit down and talk to people, when I passed Little Africa and everybody stopped, I had to say, you need to do this. This is what you need to do. And just educationally, I got my master's degree here. And going through that process, I thought, this is it. I don't need another education because my mom told me you had to finish high school. And I did. And she said, no, you got to go to college. And I did that too. And now I got to go master's. And there's some people who are saying, finish that PhD. And I'll get there.
Right.
I'll get there. But, the education experience that I got at Ohio University is by far one of the best experiences I had because I had some good faculty members. Again, a lot of them aren't here. And then my kids,
Right.
the legacies, my kids both went, two of my sons went to Ohio University. One just recently graduated in inaugural musical theater program. So
And the musical theater program is supposed to be really good
it
here,
is,
right?
and it's brand new. And now he's in Delaware performing on stage at Clear Space Theater.
Mm.
He's playing in Kinky Boots, and he's playing the role
I
that
love
Billy
that
Porter.
play.
He's
Love
playing
that,
the role that
yeah.
Billy Porter played when Billy Porter did Kinky Boots on Broadway, and I think that's what propelled Billy Porter.
Grace is a legend on campus.
And then my other son, Khalid, be remiss if I didn't bring him up. He's in Detroit now.
Okay.
But when he graduated from the College of Business in the sports program, he ended up going out to Sacramento and working with the Kings, then to Detroit with the Tigers, and now he works for a hospital in Detroit. systems.
So Ohio University has opened up a lot of doors,
Open up a lot.
and
of doors.
education leads to many different routes.
And I would piggyback off of that a little bit. I remember coming through undergrad and just the availability of internships that were available to me. Like I was able to internship in Los Angeles at a PR firm, in Atlanta at the NBC affiliate, out of Chicago, out of a digital communication avenue. And all of this before I ever had a degree in my hand. So when I was able to graduate undergrad, I had tangible experience, right? That put me above my counterparts who were also looking for a job. So the opportunity was there, and the availability of networking and engagement to a degree I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else.
Right. I definitely think that networking, amongst other things, was at the top of the list. I know that when I guess I was about 19, one of my friends, Rebecca, shout out to Rebecca from Chicago, she was studying abroad in Merida, in Mexico. And I'm like, where's Merida, for one? And she spoke fluent Spanish, so she was going to continue her studies. And I said, well, I don't speak any Spanish, and I've taken French a couple of times, and I suck at it. What can I do? Where can I go that they speak English? And so I started researching it, and I studied abroad in England because my grandmother's friend was from the Midlands, which is like 2 hours from London. And they helped me put together like my own little program because there wasn't one that was already established. And when I went, I got 32 credit hours for 3 months. And so I was able to graduate a year early. Like I literally came back and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Let me add these up. I can leave. So I say that to say, like, if my friend Rebecca hadn't went to Merida, it wouldn't have inspired me to say, well, where can I go and how can I expand my international travel? So I think those experiences are priceless. And, at Ohio University, there's no lack of them. So think about, I know, Ty, you weren't here when you were 18, but I was my 18-year-old self deciding to go to Ohio University. And I always make jokes that the reason that I didn't go to Miami is because they had bad hamburgers. I was 18, like, don't take charge to that. So when you think about how the world has changed from the time that you got to Ohio University's campus to now, like, what would you say to an 18-year-old or somebody that's walking into the shoes that you walked in when you came onto this campus? What would be your advice to them?
My advice to an 18-year-old walking on this campus would be to be more open, flexible. I'm currently still local, and there's a lot of new students that come in that lived through the COVID era. A lot of them are real reclusive. Their social skills is a little different than when we came in. And I noticed that a lot of them kind of like stay to themselves. They don't really get into any other social events or anything like that. So I would say to just be more open, flexible with your time. Go join as many groups possible. You never know who you're going to meet there. You never know who you're going to get connected with. Don't say nothing is like for you. It was lots of times that, my first year here or whatever, that I stayed to the dorms. I stayed, on my South Green, Ewing Hall, representing. But when I actually started to venture out and like you said, go to Lindley, go to Little Africa, like you mentioned, these things kind of helped me, meet people, helped me feel more inclusive, and actually made me stay. Because, like I said, that first fall, winter quarter was, I'm out of here. I want to, it was a little different for me. But when I actually went out, got a little bit more social, and joined more groups and actually, did things, is when I actually kind of fell in love with campus. So that would be my advice.
Get out a little bit.
Get out a little bit, get out of your comfort zone, and just, make some friends, go to different groups, go to different events, parties, whatever you can. So.
My advice is actually a little boring. As I'm thinking of the question, like, it would be watch what you say and save your money. So I'm gonna back into that a little bit. Like when I was coming through undergrad, social media was just emerging, right? you had to have a .edu email to get on Facebook, and Facebook had just launched. So we didn't understand the impact and the pervasiveness that social media would have on our culture. It would change literally the landscape. You could become from, you know, an unknown to a known overnight. And then on the flip side of that, you could ruin your life overnight, right? It's changed the way we engage with people and how we consume information. And I don't think we understand the ramifications of that. So, you know, part of my job is actually governing how our businesses and our employees engage on social media. And I see it every day, how people ruin their lives because they say something in jest, because they think something is funny, because they're following the crowd. So watch what you say on social media. It's much different than it was, you know, 20 years ago when we were coming through undergrad. And then the other part of that is save your money. I think about the cost of education. You know, I came out in 2004. So 2000 to 2004 and college had just started to get as expensive as it is. And now it's even doubling. So, right. It's even, I mean, I have student loans to prove it, right? They're still there haunting me. Everything is more expensive. And I work in an industry and I see it every day where African-American families are historically and statistically behind in emergency savings, in retirement savings, in collegiate savings, and we're just at a disadvantage. So if I could tell 18-year-old Erica to take $25 from her work study job or $25 from her part-time job and drop it in a Roth IRA, or, you know, drop it in the S&P 500, do that every single pay and let it work the magic of compound interest over 20, 30 years, like I would be in a completely different tax bracket.
Right.
Like $25 is not a lot of money. It's half a tank of gas. It's a pizza, right? It's
We
nothing.
waste it every
We
day.
waste it. And like, if I could just tell 18-year-old Erica to just take it off the top so you don't even think about it, throw it in an account so you don't even have to look at it, and then look at it in 20 years and see what that has grown to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it would be amazing.
And these are the discussions I have with my friends now, and it's kind of like, oh, if I would have did it when I was 20, so I agree.
Yeah, for sure. These take advantage of all the opportunities that this institution has to offer. These study abroad programs, where else can you travel and meet people and go to places that are so different than, you know, the United States of America? And you could do it, and you're doing it at a minimum cost. But the experiences that you're getting is priceless. Just absolutely priceless. And like you all say, you know, get involved in clubs and organizations. And this is where leadership starts. Right now, we're interviewing students who want to go to medical school. And when you look at their application, you hear them say, I was the president of the volleyball team. I was the captain of this. I was involved in that. It's like, these are things that you can do right here at Ohio University. And maybe you could do it at some other schools, but I know that they exist here. There are so many student organizations. And when I first came here, they weren't that much, but they just grow because somebody came and say, oh, you know, we got a lot of sisters here. Why don't we do Unified Sisters? You know, and next thing you know, it's a group, it's a club. And the university supports it with your resources because there's fees that students pay. And then you can take the money and your organization can put something on and do some things. So it's really a good stepping stone to what your career could be like. When you go out there, you get a job, you interview for a job, you get a job, or you start a family. You know, they're even finance clubs. There are people who've come here and started finance clubs, how to save money, what I need to do.
Right.
Easily, I've seen some students go to a bar and just spend like $100 because they just whip out the card and the drinks come and it's free. And they could save just a little bit of that.
Right.
You know, you have to balance. You know, I'm not telling you, you go to college and you just study and you save, and there has to be a balance. But you just need to take advantage of the opportunities around you, and they're abundant.
They definitely are. It's funny you say that the price of the international. When I went to England, I remember like it was yesterday, $550. It was my last $550 in the world. And I was scheduled to leave on September the 17th. And if anybody remembers, September 11th, 2001 was the World Trade Center attacks. And everybody was like, all my family, my grandmother and my dad, they're like, you don't need to go anywhere, you need to sit down. And they opened the airspace on the 17th. I was like one of the first flights to go back out. And I was like, I'm not wasting my $550. I'm getting on that plane. And it was, like you said, a priceless experience. I still keep in contact with so many of the people that I met at the University of Leicester. So that's my call to you young people. Make sure you're also taking advantage of studying abroad because it's definitely a priceless experience. The next question I had was just really about what attributed to your success. As Erica mentioned earlier, I think for me, it was just an added kind of balance. As far as coming to our university, I had been in a lot of different environments before I came to college. And I noticed myself starting to lean a little too far on the other end. So I was like, I can't go to an HBCU. I really need to go to a PWI to help with my balance, right? And so I'm curious what you would attribute to your success. Like, even if it's not, college-based or whatever, what would you attribute to your success?
There's always so much that contributes to your success, right? The things that come to mind they're so cliche, but like faith and family. My faith is very important to me. It carries me through when I don't think I can make it. It helps me move mountains that seem insurmountable. So it is the thing that I fall back on often. It's just a part of me. And then the other part of that is I have an amazing support system, and I always have. I didn't get in the OU when I applied out of college or out of high school. I got into every other school. I got into Spelman. I got into Oak State. I got into University of Cincinnati. I got into Clark State. I got into everything. And then OU had the nerve, to deny me. And I was so upset. And I remember my mother told me, and it's something that has carried me through even to this day. She said, there is always a way in. If you can't get into the front door, then you go in through the back. You don't let people tell you no. And I have carried that with me over the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. So I applied to Ohio University Lancaster. I went there for a quarter.
Through the back door.
Through the back door. And I transferred the next quarter, and I got into the school that I wanted to get through. And I have carried that with me through everything, through the corporate world, how I interact with people. When the executives tell me no, when you have a boss too, let me go around you and see what they will say. So my support system has been amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that point, because sometimes we think no is the final, right? And there are times when you need to go through the back door. You need to check the other handle, right? Yeah. To just see, well, maybe there is another opportunity for me to get in. Absolutely. I like that. What about you, Ty?
I was so involved in the story that I forgot the question.
What do you attribute to your success?
Oh, my success, networking. I would have to say I learned at a very early age to network, and until because you cannot, I'm not saying it can't hurt you, but if you network with the right people, it's definitely helping you. Mm-hmm. If you're a member of a student organization that is something like a fraternity or sorority, there are networks there. But those aren't the only places you network. You network maybe with your job if you have an association or anything like that. But I've learned to network with people, and in so doing, I've been able to help other people network. And that's what happened when I came here as far as my success, because I would tell students, or they'll come to me and they'll ask a question. If I don't know the answer, I bet you I know somebody who does.
Right.
And I'll connect them with people. And they'll come back years later. You know, I had a letter, a student. Before I became financial aid person, I was in Res Life on the West Green. West is the best. Anyway.
I didn't spend much time over there.
I was in the West Green, and I had Rise Truly Boy. It was the complex. And I think it was April of 2022. I got a letter from a young man that I met in 1992.
Mm.
And he didn't look like me. It was a white guy, and he just said, I don't know if you remember me, but when I was a student in Boyd and I got in trouble and I had to come see you, you helped me in such a way that now I'm helping other people. I'm a counselor at a school in North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
And, you know, I'm impacting students' lives just like you did me. And I thought to myself, like, who is this?
Right.
You know, I looked him up on social media. That's the first thing I do, you know, my encyclopedia. Looked him up and I found him. And I found that we had some mutual connections.
Mm.
But, you know, it's just one of those things you just never know when you are going to leave an impact as a mentor to someone, or when you make these networks.
Right.
And a lot of students, a lot of you all, and your peers, the ones who came before you, when they come back, they bring their kids.
Right.
And they say, you gotta come meet Tycar. You know, we've gotta go and see. Some of them still think I work in financial aid and still think that, you know, you can help me, right? Can't you? You've got to help me. No,
I brought my nephew to meet you.
I remember.
Neither of those nephews came here, but
Yeah,
at least they got exposed to
Right.
see the university.
some things, yeah. So, yeah, I would have to say I attribute the success to networking.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't just do it at Ohio University. I did it nationally and internationally.
Right.
Wherever I met people, I don't meet strangers.
Mm-hmm.
One of my kids told me, you could go to Antarctica and make friends. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Like I told my dad, you talk to a wall if you talk back. But that's a good skill to have, and it
Yes.
does lead to success.
Yes.
What would you say, Mike?
One of the things that helped me be successful here, and it's a weird one, but it's actually the atmosphere here. I'm from Columbus. I grew up in the inner city. This in the era where, you know, you get a note, walk to the corner store for your mom, dad, stuff like that. So when I came here, the grass was green, birds were chirping. And I know it's weird, but
Chipmunks.
I mean, deers walking around campus. Everything was so nice and serene. It was just like a different type of environment. So I felt safe. I felt like, I don't know how to explain it, but it just seems like somewhere, like when I walked on this campus, I knew I was supposed to go here. I went to visit Morehouse down in Atlanta, and just the environment around there, I felt like I would have been in the same space that I was growing up at home. Part of the reason why I didn't go to Ohio State as well. My dad was adamant on it, like, you're gonna get out of here. It got me away from my friends in high school, and it made me become my own man. It made me grow up. It made me actually be able to get out there, meet people, be more social, and just, I mean, the best I can say is like to just become a man, because your first year, you start, you know, going home every weekend and then coming back, and then eventually it was just like, you know what, like, appreciate it, mom and dad, everything y'all done for me. I don't need y'all no more. Don't send me no money. I got a job. I'm gonna figure it out. And I think it just forced me to just grow up. So I think in a different environment that wasn't so nice and wasn't so, you know, pleasant to be around, I probably would have gotten to other situations. So definitely it's different, but like I said, I attribute it to just the overall environment. So.
Okay, that does have an impact, right? My grandmother used to always make jokes. I'm from Cincinnati. And she would always make jokes that certain parts of Cincinnati, the air is different. She'd be like, can't you breathe? The air is different in Everly Village.
It is.
If you know anything about Cincinnati, you'll know that area. So I'm curious about who you are now and who you thought you would become. How different are those two people? I always make jokes that some of my decision making, I was 17, like, don't hold it against me. I was working at a mortgage company and I used to do interviews with the clients, and I would have to like ask them questions about their career and what they did. And this one in particular, I was taking his application and he told me he made $250,000 a year. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. I said, so what did you have to do in order to become the VP of marketing and sales? And he told me, and I thought, that sounds easy enough to me, and I can make $250,000 a year. So my aim was to be VP of marketing and sales.
Yeah.
And so I look at what I'm doing now, and it's very different from VP of marketing and sales. But at the same time, I'm able to really help young people see what their path forward should be, because I'm able to network in spaces that I didn't even know existed, right? And so I think that what I thought I was going to be versus what I am are two very different things, but still along the same line. So I'm curious how it shakes up with you guys.
I thought I wanted to major in human resources. And I did, but that's not what I ended up being. I was an RA. I was a resident assistant. And when I graduated from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and I went to work at a small college in Pennsylvania, you know, the light bulb went off right away and just say, you're going to impact students' lives. I remember meeting some students, and this is a small private Catholic school, and they were just rowdy, and they liked to consume alcohol. And when they got in trouble, you know, like once again, I would be the one working with them. And it gave me so much gratification just to know, you know, the young man I'm thinking about right now, first name is Michael. He's passed away, but he was just every weekend, he was in trouble. Every weekend he was in trouble for doing something. And it made me feel like if I had to impact every student, and I realized I can't do that.
Right.
And so I just started, if I could just reach one student, you know, and so I continued in Res Life. Then I went into financial aid, and I think that's where I made the biggest impact here at Ohio University, because it was black, white, green, yellow. It didn't matter.
Right,
You
it
know,
was money.
Everybody needed that green. And, you know, they would come in and we'd sit and we'd talk. And then when I saw that, next thing I know, there were people, I went to the medical school, and there were people who are now doctors. Some of them my doctors, though I've seen them as a patient, you know, so it just became kind of natural after a while, you know. It just felt comfortable. I didn't feel like I was working.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, you know, it came natural. Unfortunately, you know, people who sign your paycheck take advantage of you.
Right.
And they work you. But, you know, again, it didn't feel like work to me.
Was there an aha moment where you saw the difference between what you thought you were going to become and you becoming who you are? Did it like hit you at one point?
I believe there was an aha moment. And that aha moment may have been when, you know, I had supervisors who appreciated and understood what I was doing, and saw the vision and saw me as a person that they can help to mold, and you know, would rein me in and say, we're going to do it this way. You know, I remember one of those people is former President Patrick J. McDavis. I reported to him at one point in time and was organizing a collaboration we had with HBCUs called the Interlink Alliance. And we had our first conference coming up. And sitting in his office, and he and I are talking about how we're gonna do it, to, you know, what angles we're gonna take. And, you know, he said to me, I think you should do it this way. And I was like, no. You know, we should do it this way. and he said, no, Ty, here's why I think you should. He may have said, here's why, but, you know, he's president, meaning he's boss. So I went ahead and set it up the way he had suggested. And when this thing came off, I went back to him and I said, you know what, you were right. You know, sometimes you don't want to be around yes people, you know, who's gonna look at you and say, you know, just because you did this or you did that, that's the way you should do it. You know, I'm glad I listened to him. I'm glad I did it that way. We're still friends right now, best friends.
We need redirection in our careers, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Erica?
You know, I've always been good with words, the written word, not so much the spoken word. I'm usually on the other side of something like this. But I've always been good with words. So I knew that I wanted to do something with writing. Coming into college as a freshman, I thought that would have been a reporter or a magazine editor. Like those were my top of mind trades that I was working toward. But as I started to get this internship experience, I started to look at communications in another way, right? And I realized that there's a mechanism of communication behind everything. It doesn't matter the industry. So I went with that, right? Out of undergrad, I came into a PR boutique, and then I went into government. And then when the new administration came, I just needed a job, right? And our mutual friend Alumni was like, "Hey, you should come chase." I was like, It's like I don't do numbers, right? I don't like math. Like if it's not counting my own, I don't do it. I took a philosophy class to get out of like my math requirement for my undergraduate degree. I was like, I don't do numbers. She's like, just come interview, right? And saying yes to that opportunity has taken me further than I ever thought it would be. I wouldn't think that there would be a communications avenue that I could work within a bank. But numbers are the bare minimum. Like I said, we have this massive organization, and there is a mechanism behind everything that we do. Our executives need to talk, they need to interview, they need talking points, they need articles, they need to know how to speak. And all of that comes from us. So 18-year-old Erica was laser focused on the traditional roles of what writing and communication means. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that there's more to it than what we thought it would be.
Yeah. A lot more, right? And with social media, even like
I mean, the world is yours, really. Yeah.
What about you?
When I first got to school here, I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I came from a household where my parents were in a situation where they were just happy to be the first generation of like Black folks just to get jobs. My dad worked for the state. My mom worked for Columbus Public Schools. So when it came to me, my mom would see all her friends' kids going off to college, and it was like, well, you're going to college. So I'm going to college. So I got here, it was more, I don't know what major I want to do. My mom told me just come to college. So I was always smart. I got good grades my freshman year. Did real well in school, and then picked my major, econ major, which I don't even utilize today. But my aha moment came my sophomore year. My mom and dad both reached out to me and said, hey, look, we know you at school. We don't want to tell you to go there. We can't afford it no more. Sorry to say it, but you're going to have to come home. And while I'm having this conversation, I'm standing there at the BP on Court Street. Used to be a hot dog cart there many years ago. It's not even BP no more. It was Valero. I think it's Marathon now. I'm not even sure. But I sat there and I watched him. He had a line just kind of, going down the street, and it's like one 2 in the morning, up at the bars, just hanging around or whatever. So I went over, talked to him for a little bit. Figured out that, and I got tears in my eyes because my parents told me, basically kind of pulled the rug on me. And I figured out that, asked me, how much money you make, how are you doing with this, whatever. And then I figured out that might be something that I could actually get into because in my head, I'm thinking like, well, how can I figure this out on my own to pay my own tuition? So I knew I was getting an overage check at the time. I took my overage check, went online, bought a hot dog cart, one of them silver New York style hot dog carts.
What?
Spent about $1,600 for the cart that was delivered everything to the door. Spent $400 on a health department permit. I got suit and tied up, went to go talk to the Cornwell, sorry. Could I rent a space right there between Lucky's and Attractions right there across from what used to be Zach's, now it's a t-shirt store. And I negotiated a deal. Like I said, I had suit, tie, everything. He come out, overalls, dirt, on saying everything, and tell him what I want to do. He's like, just give me $50 a month. So my first week out, I'm panicking because I'm still in school. I set up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, just selling foot-long coney dogs, $2. You get whatever you want on it, ketchup, mustard, relish, cheese, whatever, right there on Court Street. Took me maybe 2-3 weeks to make the $2,400 I invested back into it so I could pay my rent. And it kind of took me into like a different direction. So I'm still in school. I remember, weird as can be, but just showing up, tuition due, but showing up with $1,700, fives and ones or whatever I can. And boom, here you go at the bursar's office. And my parents, they were confused because they always wanted me to be corporate, suit and tie, get a job. That was what was kind of the goal. So when I first told them, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I hear y'all. I'm not listening to y'all no more. I'm just going to do my own thing. I kind of got like a little fight back on it. And it wasn't until I actually started to make some money, moved indoors, and was actually like successful. And it was like, well, you haven't asked us for anything in a couple of years. Like, yeah, I'm not. So it took me, I guess, being down here and being in a situation where I had to actually, be an adult, that made me go from, like I said, being an econ major, going to get a corporate job and doing that. And which I would love to now for the benefits and everything, but it put me in a place where now I own my own store. I would say I'm kind of like Ty now, but in a different aspect. Ty worked for the university. You would send your kids to talk to him in different forms or whatever. When your kid come down here now, I'm gonna tell them, stay in groups. Don't leave your drink around with people. If you're a girl, y'all go to parties, make sure y'all leave together. Don't go to these certain areas. Don't go to this certain house. Like, pay attention because I'm on a different atmosphere. I'm the one, I work in carry out. I'm selling alcohol to students. So I see different things that I would want my nieces or nephews to learn when they come here. I got a couple guys that got sons and daughters. Your kid ever get anything? They got a safe space to come here and talk to me. So it's a different role, but like I said, when you got mentors like Todd to come in and help you out, you can kind of keep that flex going. Even when his son got of age, I see him run around campus. I go pull their tail, like, hey, pay attention to what you're doing, stay focused or whatever. So it's kind of, a different cycle. So I did finish school. So that made my mom happy, but it was just a different trajectory that I kind of went on. And I probably wouldn't have got on it anywhere else. I never wanted to sell hot dogs or anything like that. It was just a situation. So
that's a great story. I was really intrigued. I know it's gonna be kids that are like, listen, give me now I'm sure they can't get it for $1,600 anymore.
No.
Because inflation is taking us to a whole nother level. But I'm curious, and I go back and forth because I'm an advocate of education, right? And I value education, but I think there needs to be somebody that is helping young people understand when to go into education, when not to, what the value is, how you leverage the value, how you get a corporation to pay for the education. I'm just curious, what your opinions are of education and how you would give advice in terms of a young person evaluating how to go into or go into that next stage of life as it relates to higher ed.
You know, I believe that there's value in education, obviously. There's never a downside to knowledge accrued. I think that the world also does not run on college graduates alone. So there are different avenues to education. And however someone gets that is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I even venture to say that if a collegiate classroom is the only place that you're getting education, you are doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
But saying that, I also understand the socioeconomic atmosphere that we are in. The cost of higher education is astronomical. It is not sustainable. If I could do it all over again, right, 18-year-old Erica, I would have went to community college for 2 years and then transferred my last 2 years to Ohio University to get my major courses.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you can pay for it outright, right? Unless you start, a 529 for your child now, and that money is there at the end of that 18 years, like you have to be very intentional about how you're going about taking loans. And because, when you're 18 years old and they're offering you this money, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
but then a day of reckoning is coming and you're 41 and you're still saddled with these student loans. Like, Lord, please.
Right. Here comes October.
Right.
Because Biden didn't make it through.
No, we didn't. So I think you have to be very intentional about what you're doing with the overages, right? Don't blow them. How you're paying for education. Think about, how you want your life to look, and is college necessary for that? Or is there another avenue that you can go? I think the biggest thing that I got out of my college experience was the relationships that I built that are still strong today. And I'm not saying that I didn't learn anything, because I did. EW Scripps is world renowned, so that follows me. But if nothing else, I had amazing relationships that were built in undergrad and graduate school, and they have sustained me to this day. But I do think kids today need to be very intentional about education and how they're paying for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I would say, of course, education is important. I agree with her. Focus on what and how you're going to actually pay for the situation. If I had to do it again, I would have took advantage of, we had a lot of classes in high school where we could have did, I forgot the exact term for it, but you can take college courses in high school where you get credit before you even come to class. I took a couple, but there were probably like 5 or 6 more classes, and I could have started off with 30, 40 credit hours, and I didn't take as much advantage as I could. So I would do that. And I would also, if I had to do it again, I probably would have did vocational school while I was in high school. So when I came here, I probably would have did something like electrical work there in high school or something. And you come here, you can pair that on with like an engineer degree, and then you kind of got more of a trajectory as you go out. So I would have been a little bit more focused as far as that's concerned. The main thing I took from here was not only did, I definitely agree I got a solid education, but I think college makes you grow up more. And I think the social aspect of it makes you more adaptable in person. So I was able to deal and operate around a lot of different people than just Black people. Majority, 99% of the people that come to my store are white folks. So if I didn't have that ability to adapt and adjust on an environment like this, I probably wouldn't be able to, operate. So take advantage of all your opportunities before you get here, and it'll help you financially when you actually are.
Absolutely. And Ty, as you answer the question at the end, I want you to give your contact information, anything that you want to give for people to contact you after the show.
Okay. Well, let me say that what has been said already, just to piggyback on that. You know, education just doesn't happen in the classroom. You know, and my friends and colleagues here also attest to that. Education happens, you know, from your experiences. It happens, you know, with your interactions. Earlier, when Mike said, you know, if he saw my son, he would, you know, grab him by the tail and say, you know, that was a village helping to raise him and give him the education that he may not get in the classroom. I don't necessarily think that you need a PhD to do some of the jobs that are saying you need a PhD for. But, you know, that's the way it is nowadays. You know, a lot of people have some life experiences as well as they have some experiences from the classroom where they can get that.
Right.
And it's just, it's just, you just have to open your eyes and pay attention. And like both of them are saying, you know, think about financially. I've worked in higher ed all my life. So, you know, I'm pro higher ed.
Right.
You know, it has helped get my children through school. And even now that I retired from Ohio University, it's still payment. You know, they can go to school because I retired as a meritite, and now there's some benefits that come with it. So sometimes you don't have to go get student loans. You just have to be smart. You got to plan. You got to prepare. Your parents can help you with scholarships. Even though that we had tuition remission here at Ohio University, we were still looking for scholarships for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my youngest son, he got a scholarship from Taco Bell for $5,000. It's like Taco Bell is giving scholarships
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
to go into theater. You know, and it just helped. It just helped him tremendously. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pro education.
Just
Again,
be strategic about
just
it.
be strategic about it, be purposeful and intentional about it.
Well, do you want to give any contact information? I know you moved on from Ohio University.
Yeah.
If there are kids that want to go to Duquesne.
Oh, yeah. You know, we're opening a medical school in 2024 at Duquesne University, and it's osteopathic medicine, just like here at Ohio University. And Duquesne is it's a faith-based school. So they talk about we serve God by serving others. So a lot of people who are looking at that, they love the mission. And, you know, it speaks to what they want to do. They want to go back and be servant leaders. They want to go and work in communities to help the underserved. And I think that's one of the things. So you can reach me at cart6@duq.edu.
Erica, any parting words or contact information?
I think my parting words are like my beginning words. Don't let people tell you no. Like, find a way in through the back door. There's always a back door. You can reach me at, erica.revish@gmail.com. I'm always happy to chat.
My socials are Mike's Dog Shack OU. I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, wherever. I try to be as social as possible because it's good for business. So if you have a student that's thinking about coming here to Ohio University, go do the regular, Ohio University tour and then bring them into my store. And then let me take them around and I'll show you what the real
Mike
campus
tour.
is. Yeah, I'll give you the real tour.
The dog shack.
So it's, you got, your standard tour, but we'll show you the real you. So I highly recommend coming here. It's a fun place.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Well, we thank all of you guys for being with us this evening, and we wouldn't have been able to pull this off without you. So make sure you're always advocating for our students to get educated. If it's not at Ohio University, anywhere within the walls. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I'd like to thank our sponsors,